Hey guys, just continuing on with my Xbox 360 collection. We've got Dead Rising, one of my favorite games on the Xbox 360. It was the first game I actually owned for the console. I remember when the demo of this game came out, I played it to death. And I was surprised when I actually did eventually get around to buying this game that it's actually a time management based action RPG where you're set in a mall killing zombies. It's a very unique game. There's nothing quite like it besides its sequel, and it's got this crazy awesome Japanese storyline. If you haven't played this, definitely play it. It's an awesome game. And then you have the sequel. It improved quite a lot of things from the first one. The survivor AI in this one is far better, so that made this game a lot more accessible, I think. The challenge is definitely toned down in this one. It's lacking the crazy Japanese storyline of the first one because this was actually done by a Canadian developer, so it's missing that. But otherwise, this is, like Dead Rising 1, a fantastic game that's really a lot of fun. Then we have Dead Space, another one of my favorites on the console. I don't think this is really a scary game, but it's definitely got a great storyline and fantastic combat, and it's just really fun going around upgrading your weapons and just killing the necromorphs. If you haven't played this, it's a must-own for the PS3 or the Xbox 360. Then its sequel, which is basically just as good. It's got tacked on online multiplayer, which is crap, but it's basically a lot just the same great intense combat of the first one and a continuation of the storyline. The main character actually talks in this one compared to the first one, which is, at first you'd think that would be a weird change, but it actually fits the game quite well. And this has one of my most memorable gaming moments is in this game. If you're squeamish, it might actually kind of turn you off of this game, but it was just a standout scene that I recommend anyone play this game just to get to that one particular scene. Dead to Rights Retribution, kind of a generic third-person shooter where you can send your dog to attack people. It's nothing special, but the hand-to-hand combat's actually quite good in this. Then Death Smiles. I'm not too huge into shoot-'em-ups. This is a shoot-'em-up, mainly because I suck at them, but I did pick this up for cheap, and I was surprised at how fun it was. I'm crap at it, but it's still a really fun shoot-'em-up. So if you love shoot-'em-ups, you gotta have this. Destroy All Humans, Path of the Furon. I know this got really terrible reviews. I actually liked it, probably because it was the first Destroy All Humans game I've played, and this game was pretty unique to me. It is a bit glitchy, but it's a lot of fun just going around destroying everybody. Days Ex Human Revolution. I was really excited for this one. I love the Days Ex series, and this definitely did not disappoint. A great mix of stealth and first-person shooting action. Devil May Cry HD Collection, which has Devil May Cry 1, 2, and 3 for the PS2. All pretty good games. The first one's a bit dated, but it's still fun. It's a bit simplistic. The second one is more repetitive and got some really terrible bosses, but the third one still holds up a lot and is really a lot of fun. So if you're a fan of this series, I don't see why you probably wouldn't have this. It's a bit hard to find, though. There was only a couple copies at my local EB Games, and after they sold, I haven't seen it since. Then we have Devil May Cry 4, my favorite in the series, surprisingly. I know a lot of people didn't like this one. I really liked it. I thought Nero was really fun to control. It's like half of the game you do end up kind of replaying the same sections that you played earlier over again, but I didn't mind too much when the core gameplay was just so much fun. Dragon Age Origins, a fantastic hardcore RPG from BioWare. It's definitely their most difficult game, I think. Really fantastic battle system, great storyline, great characters. I really liked this game a lot. And then you have its sequel, Dragon Age 2, which a lot of people hated this game. It's definitely not as good as the first one. A lot of the characters in this game are kind of lame. The storyline's not so great. The combat is quite simplified compared to the first one, but for some strange reason, this game still sucked me in, and I really enjoyed it. Dragon's Dogma, a really underrated RPG from Capcom. It's it's kind of like, it reminds me of Skyrim and those type of big Western open world RPGs. You know, you've got this big open world, but what's different about this game is its challenge. It's got a great challenge to it. You know, the bosses in this are just massive, and you can climb on top of them and just attack them like crazy. And the animations are fantastic. It's a really deep game too, and it's got some really unique online concepts. Definitely get this game. I think this is a really underrated game. Duke Nukem Forever. You know, a lot of people hate this game and got terrible reviews upon release. And I'll admit, it's not the greatest game ever. But I thought it was okay. You know, it's definitely not worth playing or buying. But you know, I had an okay time with it. There was some humor that worked. A lot of it didn't. But you know, it's a standard first-person shooter. There's nothing special here. It's lousy graphics. Definitely doesn't hold up to a lot of the first-person shooters that are out today, but not quite as bad as everybody says it is, I don't think. Earth Defense Force 2017, a very underrated game for the system. This reminds me of like a game you'd find on the Dreamcast. You just go around shooting these giant ants, and that's literally the entire game, like 52 missions of that. But it's got a really fun co-op mode. You can pick up weapons scattered across the map. Like, there's a ton of weapons in this game. And, you know, there's health pickups and power-ups and all that stuff. It's just a really fun game to play with someone else. Then you have the sequel to Earth Defense Force 2017, Insect Armageddon. It's by a different studio, not a Japanese studio, so it doesn't have the Japanese craziness that the first game has. I don't know, I didn't find this one quite as enjoyable. I mean, there's more customization in this one, and I don't know, but besides that, it's kind of more of the same and just not as fun. Eat Lead, a game that I don't think many people know about. It's kind of like, I'm not going to really go into details about it, but it's kind of like a parody of like third-person shooter action heroes from back in the day, like Duke Nukem and things like that. And this game's quite funny, but the problem with it is the gameplay. It's a really mediocre shooter-based, cover-based shooter. Sorry, I really wouldn't recommend getting this one. Enslaved Odyssey to the West. I know a lot of people really love this game. I think it's okay. The storyline is really great in this game, and the visuals are fantastic. But I'm not too big of a fan of the gameplay. I think it's kind of tedious and trial and error based, and the combat is very simplistic. But other than that, you know, this is definitely a decent game, and I'd say play it just for the storyline alone. Eternal Sonata, one of the best RPGs on the Xbox 360. You know, just a really fantastic JRPG with some absolutely beautiful visuals. And a really neat light and dark based combat system. If you like JRPGs, definitely check this one out. Fable 2. I know the Fable series gets a lot of hate. They're very easy games, you know, they're somewhat simplistic, but I love the humor of these games. You know, they've got such great charming humor, and I love the worlds that they've crafted, you know, in the Fable games. You know, yeah, this game is easy, yeah, it is simplistic, but you know, it's a really fun RPG in my opinion. Then of course Fable 3, not quite as good as Fable 2. They did some inventory things in this game, which I don't know, some of the design decisions in this game were baffling to me. How the inventory works in this game is just really dumb and confusing. I don't know why they did it. You know, it's even easier than Fable 2 if that was possible. But at the same time, you know, the charming humor is still here, and it's still a fun RPG to play. Fallout 3, a brilliant game, absolutely brilliant. You know, I wasn't a big fan of Oblivion, so I was kind of worried about this game going into it. I thought it would be even more simplified than Oblivion was compared to Morrowind before that. But this game is a really nice, challenging, open-world game that's just a lot of fun. Tons of interesting side quests and characters, tons of awesome weapons, and the VAT system is totally unique and just really fun. I love almost everything about this game. Fallout New Vegas. pretty much, I actually like this one better than Fallout 3, surprisingly. It's glitchy and it's kind of more of the same, but I like the environment in this game a lot better, and the storyline in this I thought was far more interesting, and some of the characters in this were so memorable. I'll remember them for as long as I live. Really, really a fantastic game. And the Fallout series, the whole series is just great. If you haven't played Fallout 3 or this, you have to play them. They're just amazing RPGs. Fear. When this came out, I really liked it. I thought it was a fantastic first-person shooter at the time. I played this just recently, though. It hasn't held up too well. It's a very simple, linear first-person shooter with a kind of a gimmicky slow-mo thing that, I don't know. I just found this game boring when I played it not too long ago, but when it came out, this was a really, really cool first-person shooter. Fear 2, this is a much better game than the first one, I think. It's definitely held up better over time. Just a really lot of cool weapons and just, I don't know, just a really solid first-person shooter. Fear Files, this is just 2 expansion packs on a disc for Fear 1. Like Fear 1 itself, pretty outdated and not that fun to play. Forza Motorsport 2, a pretty fun simulation racer. I definitely prefer arcade-style racers more, so I didn't get too big into this one, but if you like simulation racers, this is probably a must-own, I would think. And what 360 collection would be complete without Gears of War? When this came out, the graphics just blew me away when this came out. I was just so impressed with the graphics, and then I actually played the game, and it turned out, the cover-based shooting was incredibly unique at the time. This game was just a whole lot of fun when it came out. I never did like the multiplayer, split screen or online. I thought it was really dull, but the campaign in this is fantastic. And then Gears of War 2, another solid campaign. Doesn't quite reach the highs of Gears of War 1, but they added the Horde mode in this, which I thought was really fun, especially online. And then, the same online multiplayer, which I didn't care for. And then, of course, Gears of War 3, another great campaign with a storyline that actually ended. No ending DLC or anything stupid like that. They added a beast mode this time around that's kind of, I don't know, it's half-cooked, I'd say. It's not, I don't know, it doesn't provide that much lasting value. And the Horde mode, of course, is back, just as great as ever. Overall, the Gears of War trilogy is an excellent third-person shooter trilogy. Ghost Recon Advanced Warfighter. I'm not too big into tactical shooters, so I didn't really care for this one that much. Grand Theft Auto 4. This game kind of had a mixed reaction. A lot of people either love or hate this game. I actually happen to love it. I thought that in terms of tone, it's definitely not as cartoony or, humorous as the previous Grand Theft Auto games, but, this game still has a lot of humor in the radio stations and some of the characters, and I thought the storyline was completely engrossing this game. Like, I was hooked from start to finish. I really liked this game, actually. Guitar Hero 2. This game, I remember at the time I got it, I was either going to get this with the guitar, and this was before I played any kind of games like this, any rhythm games like this with a plastic instrument, or a Wii. I decided to go with this, and I'd say I'm kind of glad I did, but at the same time I'm not. Like, I really got addicted to this game, and I was a fan of the series for the longest time. Eventually I did get bored with it. I reached the expert level and everything. I got quite good at this. So it's definitely a fun game. I don't like how it's all the songs are cover versions as opposed to later games which would use actual songs, but definitely a fun game at the time and still fun from time to time today. Guitar Hero 3, a great track list in this one. As a hardcore Guitar Hero fan back in the day, I wasn't a fan of the note charts in this game compared to Guitar Hero 2, but this was still a fun game, and I put tons of hours into this. Guitar Hero Aerosmith. I don't even like Aerosmith, and I bought this game. That's how addicted I was to the Guitar Hero series. So if you like Aerosmith, you'd probably like this. If you don't, you probably wouldn't. Guitar Hero Metallica. Metallica is one of my favorite bands, so I was really excited when they announced this, and this did not let me down. Definitely one of the more challenging Guitar Hero games. Finally, Guitar Hero World Tour. This is when I started getting bored of the series. At the time I got this, I was well into the Rock Band series, which I far prefer to the Guitar Hero series. So this lost my interest really quick. Halo 3, you know, a nice first-person shooter. I'm not the biggest fan of the Halo series. I like the Halo games, especially the campaigns. And the multiplayer is alright too, I guess, but I'm not like a crazed Halo fan or anything like that. But, you know, this is a nice, solid first-person shooter with some great level designs. Halo 3 ODST. Wasn't as big of a fan of this as I was Halo 3. I thought it was really short-lived, and I don't know, I just found this game kind of boring, to be honest. Halo Reach, I really liked this quite a bit. When I got this, I played it on Legendary by myself, and that was definitely one of the more memorable experiences I've had on the Xbox 360. Really challenging and really fun. In terms of Halo 4, I don't know if I'm going to get that yet. I might get it when it's cheaper, because I feel like I'm kind of done with the Halo series. I'm kind of lost interest in the whole thing, but maybe we'll see. Hitman Blood Money. This is a fantastic game. I'm not really actually into stealth games all that much, but I loved this. I loved how open-ended the levels were. You could take so many different routes, and there were so many different ways to kill your targets. It was really fun messing around in this game too, and just killing everybody. The achievements were a whole lot of fun. And basically, I can't wait till Hitman Absolution comes out. That's going to be an awesome game, I think. Infinite Undiscovery, one of the few games on the system I haven't played yet. It looks like a typical JRPG, which is right up my alley, so I'm definitely going to get around to playing this one soon. Jurassic the Hunted. This is a bad game. It's a very boring, very visually unappealing first-person shooter. Not very fun at all. I would not recommend this one. Just Cause, a nice open-world game with a grappling hook that's really fun to use. It's a bit unpolished. The storyline is crap. You know, some of the missions are really annoying. It's not a perfect game by any means. I've heard the sequel is a lot better, so if you're interested in this, I'd suggest trying that one instead of this one. Like, this game is just okay, I think. Kane and Lynch 2, a really crappy third-person shooter. I mean, this game is literally like 3 hours long, and there is nothing new about it other than like I don't know how you describe it, but a very crazy kinetic camera style in this game. Really unlikable characters and just really generic cover-based shooter. Kingdom Under Fire, Circle of Doom, one of the more underrated games on the Xbox 360. It's basically like a Dynasty Warriors game and Diablo combined. Really, this game's a whole lot of fun, I think. Kingdoms of Amalur, one of the few games I haven't played yet. Looks to be like a Skyrim-esque RPG. Looks a lot of fun, just haven't got around to it yet. LA Noire, one of my favorite games on the Xbox 360. I just love this game. I don't know what people were expecting. Like, I've heard a lot of people don't like it. I think a lot of people were expecting like another Grand Theft Auto game when it's really not. This game basically is kind of like an old school point-and-click adventure. I mean, it's very heavy on storytelling and investigating. Like, you investigate, you know, these cases, and you talk to people and try to get them to confess the truth. You know, with the excellent facial expression features this game has. Really just a unique game with a fantastic setting and a really, I don't know, a really dark, ominous atmosphere that I just love. If you're looking for a little something different, set in an open world, kind of like Grand Theft Auto, definitely try this out. I think this game's fantastic. Left 4 Dead, you know, a really unique 4-player co-op shooter with the zombies. You know, a lot of people love this one. I love it too. Left 4 Dead 2, more of the same, but, it's Left 4 Dead. I mean, Left 4 Dead's an awesome game. Not much to complain about here. Lego Indiana Jones and Kung Fu Panda Double Disc. They're both really average games. Lost Odyssey. I actually just started this game a couple hours ago, and already I'm very impressed with this. Just amazing visuals in this game, fantastic music, and a really nice traditional turn-based battle system. I'm really loving this so far. Mafia 2, this is a pretty good game. I really like the storyline in it. The mission designs, not so much. They seem to be, I don't know, they're really annoying and trial and error based, like a lot of the old Grand Theft Auto games. So, I don't know, this game's kind of frustrating in the gameplay department, but the storyline's worth playing this game for, I think. Magna Carta 2, kind of a garbage JRPG, a really frustrating battle system, a weak storyline, bad characters, awful voice acting for the most part. Even if you're a huge JRPG lover, I don't know. I wouldn't really recommend this game. I really didn't care for it. Mass Effect, I went over this in my top 3 games of this generation video, so I won't go into more details now, but basically a fantastic game and just a masterpiece. And then the sequel, which I mentioned in that video, was disappointing. Too much of an action focus, RPG elements were just thrown out. And, this was obviously made to appeal to a mass audience, and I don't think it quite worked out. Obviously for sales it did. And Mass Effect 3, which is a bit better than number 2, but still not that great. I don't know. It was pretty disappointing how this series left off, especially since the first game was so good. And then we have Max Payne 3, one of my favorite games to come out this year. This is just one of the best third-person shooters I've ever played. A fantastic storyline and really just challenging, gripping gameplay. And, the setting of Brazil is so awesome. As you can tell from this video, I love pretty much everything Rockstar puts out, and this is no exception. Metal Gear Solid HD Collection, still sealed. I haven't gotten around to this, obviously. I played Twin Snakes on the GameCube not too long ago, and I really didn't care for it, so I'm kind of hesitant to get into this. I might just sell this. I'm not sure yet. Mirror's Edge, a really underrated game on the 360. A really unique and fun first-person platformer, if you can believe it. If you haven't played this, you gotta at least try it. Nier, another underrated game on the system. It's hard to describe this one because it's got so many different gameplay elements, but it's basically an RPG with a really fascinating storyline. It kind of takes dedication to play this game, though, because you need to go for a lot of different endings to get the full story. But really, this is a fantastic game that just completely went under the radar. 99 Nights, actually another underrated game. I'm not too big on the Dynasty Warriors type games, and this is kind of like that, but I was surprised about how fun this game was. I thought it was a really enjoyable game. Ninja Gaiden 2, I'm a huge fan of Ninja Gaiden on the Xbox. That's one of my favorite games of all time, so I was really excited to get this. I definitely did not disappoint. I'd say it's even harder than the Xbox One. It's got some design issues, I think, and it's far more linear, but, the upgrading of the weapons is still there, and, the visceral, awesome combat is still here, too. Really, this game's, fantastic. Oblivion, kind of a disappointment compared to Morrowind. Morrowind's one of my favorite games of all time. This, they streamlined a lot of things, they made it more accessible, but I just didn't find it as fun, and I just hated the fact that the enemies leveled up with you. I thought that was just a stupid design decision, but, it's still a solid RPG overall. Orange Box, a really great value. The Half-Life games, I love them to death, especially Half-Life 2. That's one of my favorite first-person shooters of all time. Portal, and a fantastic puzzle first-person game. And Team Fortress, I can't really get into, probably because I don't like competitive gaming that much, but it's definitely still a cool game. The outfit, a really generic tactical war game. Really didn't care for this one that much. Perfect Dark Zero, this was a crushing disappointment for me. Like, Perfect Dark is just a perfect game, you know, it's awesome. This, not so much. The level designs are really frustrating, you know, it's just basically point A to point B. The aiming was completely off in this game. I don't know what it is, but the aiming is just awful in this game. I don't like what they did with the main character, Joanna. They made her a really annoying character. The storyline in this is awful. The visuals are nice, but that's pretty much about it. I really don't like this game. Project Gotham Racing 4. Haven't played this. I actually don't know why it's in my collection. I don't remember where I got it. Phantasy Star Universe. Pretty shitty, to be honest. Action RPG. The online seems kind of cool, but I think it's shut down now, so there's no point in that. The storyline in this is really bad from what I can remember. Not that great. And that will do it for this part. Stay tuned for the final part, part 3, sometime later.